Niharika here. I have connectivity issues, so whenever I switch on video, my voice starts, going
Okay,
off.
no problem. No problem. Okay, so all of you are able to see my screen?
Yes, Pallavi.
It's just coming up for me. Yeah, I can.
Are you all able to? Yeah, thank you. So, all set. Welcome to Tech Writers Tribe Leaders. So, why we are here? We want to know what is trending in tech writing industry and what is there for you in future. So, we have some experienced tech writing professionals who will share their journey, discuss current and future trends, and clear your inhibitions. So, let me introduce to our panelists today. We have Niharika Chaudhary, who's Manager, Information Development and Precisely, and from New Delhi. So with more than 18 years of experience in communication, which includes writing user assistant content such as user manuals, online helps, installation guides, release notes, and FAQ videos. So Niharika has worked in multiple domains, including data integrity, banking, insurance, hardware documentation. She's also dabbled in creative and news writing. Wow, that's something incredible, Niharika, from journalism to tech writing. So we are really happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Then we have Subhajit Sengupta, better known as Eternal. He loves to be known as Eternal Learner. Wow. He thrives on learning something new every day. So he loves to learn and internalize something that will enrich him. Oh, he takes interest in storytelling, be it explaining the concept of fractions to his daughter. Wow, that's wonderful. Or developing a health chatbot. Yeah, we are going to grill you, Subhajit, on this today. So let's welcome Subhajit Sengupta.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for that introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for the
So
introduction. Thank you.
Subhajit is working as a manager, content and communication training at Digit. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Digit. Okay.
I know it's
Mumbai.
very difficult to pronounce, but it's a digital.
Okay, cool. Next, we have Shrutika. Shrutika has over 10 years of experience as technical writer, of course, spread across on-premises and web applications in data governance, finance, and telecom domains. And she specializes in software product documentation in several formats: HTML, product microcopy, digital adoption, and onboarding. Wow, she is a self-taught UX advocate. Cool. We are so glad to have you here, Shrutika.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. I'm happy to be here.
Cool. So Shrutika is a team lead with working as team lead in technical publications at Irwin, and she's from Hyderabad. And we have someone across the seas. So we have Hemant Kapila, and he's currently working as a consultant business analyst and product specialist in Melbourne. So very much welcoming you, Hemant, to this first Leaders Roundtable.
Thanks,
And
pleasure.
he has an exciting professional journey of 20 years. He has evolved from a lecturer and textbook author to a technical writer and then to a software analyst and a technical product specialist. This is so wonderful. He has worked with many startups and tech giants and acquired a deep understanding of product architectures and user needs. Wow, we'd love to listen to you how you did all this transition. So welcome again.
Thank you.
So guys, let's start. So my first question to Niharika is like you, as I was telling about you from journalism to tech writing. So how this transition, you were a journalist, and then can you please share your whole journey? How did you make this transition? And
Honestly speaking, I had never thought I would be a tech writer. I was a journalist, and the transition happened by just a chance. But now when I look back, I see the fields are so much intertwined with each other that being a journalist has helped me in my journey as a tech writer. First of all, I would say the investigative mindset. Journalism builds that in you. That becomes the natural thing in you. You try to try questions in all the answers. That is the mindset you get when you are a journalist for some 2 or 3 years. Your interviewing skills they develop a lot in journalism. Your ability to handle pressures. Being in a newsroom for 1 year equips you with the with so much of strength to withstand this work rush that no work rush will ever bother you again in any field. So that's something. And foremost is the focus, communication. The effectivity of the communication depends on how much you are able to step into the shoes of your customer. This is no better than in journalism. So the communication is what I have been taught through all my career as a journalist and as a student of journalism, and communication is what we do here. So that basically has always helped me. But yeah, it happened by a fluke. I The producer with whom I was working in journalism, I was in media. So his wife happened to be in journalism and she was looking for someone very dedicated, sincere, and he thought I was that candidate. I was looking something out and that gave me a good jump at that time and I jumped there. That is how I transitioned into it. But I have found it two very complementary fields and I have gained from those 3 years in media as a journalist in my tech writing career throughout. That's what I.
But journalism is what I see from here. I have never tried that. Journalism is more like, you really have to spin a story, but software documentation is you write what it is, that's it, no extra words. So, what
We have
about?
creativity. We have creativity of presentation here. The same content you can present very creatively in very short, crisp, precise way. Maybe as a video, maybe as a in UI, maybe as help the UX. So creativity is there, though not in language, but in presentation. Right.
Oh, that's wonderful. Cool. I'll put my next question to Subhajit. Same kind of question. So, Subhajit, you're actually doing, learning Chinese in JNU and now to tech writing. So, what was your journey like? And, at that time, did you think that there is some field, tech writing, kind of?
Right. I would say that many like you and other people and something like Niharika, what she has gone through. I would say
Mm-hmm.
that my journey has been very eventful and exhilarating, right? In the sense that I touched on many things and then I landed up in technical communication. I wanted to learn a foreign language. This is something that I wanted to do after my 10 plus 2. So in my graduations, I thought of doing something different than what others are doing it. So I decided to learn a foreign language, and I wanted to do it as a full-fledged course. So that's why I took a graduation course in Chinese. So I started learning in Shantiniketan Vishwabharati, and then I moved to JNU in New Delhi. Just for your information, Punit is my batchmate. He learned German, and I learned Chinese, and we used to stay in the same hostel. So
Oh,
then I,
wow.
I,
That's
I began, right. So I began my journey as a foreign language specialist. So I always wanted to learn a language, and there is always an inclination towards learning a language and mastering that. So that's where I felt that there is a connectivity between the foreign language or the language and the content and communications that later on I moved into. And then when I started translating the document, then I got interested towards the original language and the target the language that I am translating into. And
okay.
there lies my interest. And then I slowly, gradually moved into technical writing, because what happened is that along with the localizations, you also start. I mean, originally you start writing the document in English, and then you get it translated into language. So I would say that I never did any kind of a certifications in technical writing. So whatever I have learned, I learned from my experiences, and I've learned from my experience, I learned from my failures, I learned from my peers, I learned from my editors. So everything I have learned on the job and through my practical experiences. And through that experiences, what I realize is that it is very important. It's very important to have a very user-friendly conversation with your user or the person who's actually going through your documentation. Throughout my technical writing, this is something that I try to do. Tell a
Yeah.
story, doing a meaningful conversation.
Wow. Just a minute. This is to everyone, all the audience. Please go on mute. Cool. Puneet, are you there? Then if you're not there, then please, if you're there, then please put everyone on mute.
You will have to unmute yourself. I put everybody on mute. Pallavi, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Okay, cool. So, my next question to Shruti. So, Shruti, you've been from tech background only, right? I mean, you've done your master's in computers. So, usually engineers would not want to get into technical writing, right?
Yes, Pallavi, that is correct.
So, how was it like, this transition? Did you find this more exciting being an author also, the creative side of the engineer, side of the engineer rather? And how was this? How was this journey towards technical writing?
So Pallavi, I got into technical writing purely by chance. I was not aware about this field, and the year I graduated was mid of the recession, 2008, 9, 10. So there were no jobs. I'll be very honest here. There were no jobs, and I got into lecturership.
Okay.
So I started
Oh,
teaching bachelor's and master's students uh,
right,
all the subjects that computer science students usually learn. And
right,
purely by chance, I got an opportunity in tech writing. They needed someone who could explain C and C++ programs. They wanted
right.
to start creating developer documentation. So that's how I got into it. And I loved it so much that I decided to stay in technical writing and not pursue a career in pure tech kind of role.
Okay, wow.
So that's
So
how I started.
there's I mean, quite a disparity in the packages and the salary packages and also
Yeah.
uh, how do you cope up with that? I mean,
Uh,
as a developer or purely tech person, then to tech writer. So you chose to be tech writer only then?
Yeah, so yeah, there is disparity in the pay scales between a pure tech role and a technical writer or technical communication a personnel. So the truth is that I enjoy my work a lot. I truly enjoy technical writing. So at times I ignore the pay scale part, but most of the times I have been lucky to have good managers. Although they were from tech background, I have always been lucky to have good managers who valued my work, and so far I have been happy with my pay scale. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely. This is a very motivating thing which you have said, because people are apprehensive, what is the future and how about everything. We'll come back
Yeah.
to this, and thank you for this input. We have Hemant here, and Hemant was also a lecturer at some point of time. So, from a lecturer, author to writing textbooks, right? Am I correct?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
So, what was your journey like? I mean, you were a lecturer, and
Okay.
then are you
Yeah.
also from science background?
Yeah. So I did my bachelor's and then master's and 3-year diploma from NIIT purely in computing. Then at 19, I started my own business of assembling computers, and I hired 7 of my classmates to actually help me with the computer assembling. And I was the major retailer in my small area. I belong to Jalandhar, Punjab, North India. So never intended to be a technical writer, honestly. And I went to Bangalore first time for my Oracle certification. I cleared all the Oracle certified application developer exams, 88% aggregate. I was the best topper. Got an offer from SQL Star International in 2000 as a developer, but unfortunately lost my father back home, so I had to come back. So I had prior teaching experience in an IIT, so that's why I just landed into college lecturership job, and some publisher just offered me because of my links of hardware business with publication houses. So can you write this book for us? It was a C book for Punjab University BCA first year class. I did that. Took me 2 months or so. It was hit in the market, and yeah, then I started getting offers, and I was doing full-time lecturer as well as. And the next 4 years or so, I was down with 16 books published, and then another few years down the line, 36 textbooks published in total. But by the time I joined the mainstream technical writing, then I thought, why if people are liking my books, why will not they like my write-ups as a software writer? So
Right.
I joined my first company in 2005, Persistent Systems in Nagpur, was IIPM. Then I moved to Symbian, one of the most complex software platforms. In 2005-6, Symbian was the mostly used software on this planet. Almost all the first colored screen phones, maybe Nokia, maybe NTT or Motorola or Sony Ericsson or whatnot, they all had Symbian operating system at the core. So, I mean, the most difficult part of joining Symbian was we had to unlearn what we studied, the C, the data structures, the pointers, because Symbian had its own modified language. So
Okay.
then the challenges were there, and I started enjoying like my difference, how I was a bit different from the normal linguistic based technical writers, because I came from the core computing background. So I would go back to the architecture of the system, how it works, what is behind the scene. So what do I need to understand before I explain this to the end user? And when you're technically sound, then definitely you become a very good friend of developers, the architects, because they think,
Right.
yeah, you understand their language, and then you start getting more or better inputs. But then across many domains, like then I joined a startup in Chandigarh called Alert Enterprise. Most innovative security products, governance, risk, and compliance products. uh, I was the lead. I couldn't find any resource, so I hired MA and MCOM people who were available in Chandigarh, trained them to be technical writers, coached them with the very complex products, and that very small startup gave me an opportunity to directly talk to companies like Nike, Coca-Cola, Florida Bar and Light, where I was directly talking to their product managers on their need of the documentation, because these software were like huge. They were sitting on top of the entire software portfolio of the organization like Nike. So this
Mhm.
was allowing access to all other software which were there in the organization's landscape. So really complex things, and every implementation of that software was different. So that gave me an
Wow.
insight how to talk to people, how to get their needs, and how to talk to developers and let them know, what to make a common bridge between the developer and the business. So the benefit of working in startup was there was no set role. So I was not only a technical writer, I was a tester, I was a product manager, I was a technical writer, I was a technical writing manager, I was a trainer internally training my technical writers. And yeah,
Wow. That's the most versatile portfolio you've got there, Hemant, right?
yeah.
And
So then,
very
I mean,
passionate to mention here is that if you know your domain, it's very easy to get the inputs from the SMEs and the devs and the people out there. We'll come back to
Yeah,
the because I think I mean, 90% of the tech writers say that getting inputs from the SMEs is a bit difficult. So I'll come back to you on this question about how well you studied the domain and what you did to gain that. We
sure.
come to next question to Niharika. Niharika,
Yeah.
so how do you plan the document? You being a manager, how do you plan the document delivery? Like, how is it uh, spread across the team? How is it spread across the timeline? How is it spread across maybe the feature wise? How do you plan that?
If we talk about the organization I am currently in, so it is a very mature kind of a tech writing. Every writer, we do not have very less experienced writers, even if they are under team leads. So, and for a particular product set, the writers are specified. So the planning is not at the micro level that I'm supposed to do. I am more of a troubleshooter here. And if I talk about how documentation is integrated into the project planning and how the timelines are decided, honest answer is documentation people do not have the freedom to govern project timelines. We are the ones who squeeze into the project timelines most of the time, and it has been only once in my entire career that the deliverables, the project was delayed. The release of the product was delayed because documentation encountered a snag that we couldn't sort out on time. So the release was delayed for a week, and that was just once in my career. So most of the time, we are the one who conform to whatever is the project timelines, and we scramble around. We employ all our innovativeness into it. There has been a time when I have released some 8 or 9 FAQ videos in say about 3 months, which seemed impossible at the beginning, considering my team wasn't even having some experience in video editing, and they were all new to the tool Camtasia. So these are the challenges that documentation always faces and will keep
Right.
for some time, quite some time, at least in our part of the world. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Subhajit, how do you do this, delivering all the content timely manner? How do you plan for it?
Ours is a product company, and we are into application lifecycle management, product management, project management,
Sorry.
Kanban, and safe methodology-based products. So we generally follow a 2 weeks sprint. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello?
Now, yes.
Yeah. So we are following 2 weeks sprint, and it's across all the stakeholders, like the development team, the testing, the quality assurance, the documentation team. So all across the product lines, we are following 2 weeks sprint, and every 2 weeks we'll be having our release. So it is kind of a challenging for all of us, the documentation, the content and communication team, to kind of deliver all the deliverables, like for example, starting from the what's new release information, the online help videos, and other
Right.
on the release emailer, to anything that comes under kind of content and communication. So what we do is that we follow documentation team, we follow a process called a Kanban. So Kanban as a methodology that we apply, and we follow a Kanban board where we are actually breaking down all the work into couple of value streaming stages. And
Mhm.
based on the kind of a value streaming stages, we are actually tracking and monitoring how the work is getting done. So what happens is that in a traditional manner, it is very difficult. We might be tracking and monitoring the work, but many a times we don't visualize the work, how it is getting done from the starting to end, right? So it is very
Right.
important to know that at every stage of your documentation life cycle, what is your capacity, right? Because many a times what happens is that everybody comes to us with their requirement, and everybody buys for your attention because everybody thinks that their documentation is important. You really
Yes.
actually commit to something which you really not be able to deliver it. So that's why it is very important for us, and which we make sure that we should understand our capacity. So what we call
Right.
is that work in progress limit. So at every stage, we have decided what is our work in progress limit, so that we can tell other stakeholders, this is something that we will be able to take it, and this is something that has to go to backlog. So we properly do the backlog grooming. And the other thing is that what we do we follow the agile methodology. So
Right.
as a part of the agile methodology, we are very much involved from the beginning of the development. So we are participating in the sprint planning meeting, we are participating in the demo, we are participating in any other activities that require us to be there, to know that how to know to in order to deliver the product documentations. So that gives us a lot of kind of space and kind of flexibility in order to kind of manage and monitor the work. This is something that we have been doing it for the last couple of years, and I'm very passionate about talking about Kanban, and which we have done it, and we have with a smaller team, we are now able to handle almost like 5 to 6 product lines which are having a simultaneous release on the same day. So that's a kind of a big for us.
Wow, that's commendable. So a lot to learn how to strategize that. I'll put the same question to Shrutika also. So Shrutika, being a team lead, how you manage this, and you know, how do you strategize about within your team?
Okay, so Pallavi, like Niharika said, documentation team most of the times has to scramble, and we have to squeeze ourselves inside the product release life cycle and get things done. So that part is true about my team also. But we follow scrum, and right from the beginning, like Shubhajit said, like right from the beginning, my team is involved in the sprint planning. Although we don't
Right.
actively attend sprint planning meetings, I'm always a part of the meeting minutes of meeting, and I'm always on track with respect to what the development team, what the product management team, and what the QA team are planning. What is their next set of user stories, and then to be in sync with all of these verticals, there are user stories that are created against each feature for documentation as well. So that
Okay. Yeah.
gives me a granular view of what's happening in the product, what's happening in the release cycle. That takes care of a lot of overhead for me. And then for each every year we have around two releases. One is a
Mhm.
major one, and one has more of enhancements based on what happened in the major release. And then we
Right.
have around four products which are released twice a year. So
Okay.
when you think about it, it becomes too much to document. uh,
Right.
but then what we do is, for each release we have a code freeze date. So
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
target in my team is that documentation should be ready at the most after 1 week after the code freeze. Most of it should be ready for the reviewers, and also the QA team to review. In my case, the QA team also reviews the documentation for technical accuracy. So we do
Wow.
that, and then we backtrack from there.
Okay.
So code freeze is usually 4 weeks before the release, before the GA.
Right.
And so for us, before the GA, we have to complete documentation at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that. That's how I backtrack and plan. And for each feature, we estimate the time to taken based on the exploration, SME interviews, impact analysis, planning based on the impact analysis, writing, and QA. All of these factors come into picture when I plan the time taken for each feature to be documented. So that's how I try to be in sync with development, and try to not hamper the release cycle because of documentation.
Right. So uh, we have lots to learn again in terms of scrums. So people out there, we know that we have to attend scrums, be in the sprint plannings. So is your team involved, or as team leads or managers only you all are involved for these scrums or sprint meetings?
Uh, so Pallavi, all of us, the whole of my
Okay.
team is involved in all the Scrum ceremonies. At times, my team might be busy with some other product release or some other feature documentation, so they might not attend. But I make it a point to attend all the ceremonies for each product. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shrutika. So coming to Hemant, you've been from hardware industry as well, writing for the operating systems, and you said you had to completely unlearn, C, C++, and all those some languages, and again restart. So how do you manage deliveries, product deliveries, and for your kind of industry background?
ये रहा अरे रखा है पापा जी को
Hello, Hemant, can you hear me?
Yes, Pallavi, we can
Can you
hear
guys
you.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Hemant.
Okay. So, in terms of planning documentation, again, it varies with the industry. And when I moved here in Australia in 2015, I found like the things are a bit different from the US-based MNCs. But when I was working with Oracle, when I was working with CA Technologies, mostly what we did is what all other panel member told, like dividing the development teams, and embedding the technical writers within the development teams. So one technical writer is responsible for their part of the development, and that technical writer makes sure that every item which is being developed by his or her team is being documented. And in Jira or in any ticketing system, whenever you create the development tasks, you also create the technical writing tasks. And the definition of done ensures that no item is marked done until the technical documentation updates for that particular development item is being done by the tech writing team or the technical writer who's involved as a part of the Scrum team. So me as a leader would ensure that if 5 teams are working in a product and 5 different modules are being touched in this sprint, I make sure that which all parts are touched, what are the technical writing tasks, and when are we going to update the documentation, and when we are going to release the documentation in such a way that the product release is not stalled due to the documentation unavailability or, for example, some SMEs didn't review the document. So due to that, we are not ready. So as a lead, I want to make sure that, nothing of that sort happens. In the daily meeting, we progress the documentation tickets from in development to in review to done, and then from done to production. And I mean, that varies with the various industries and domains. But yeah, in certain domains, it will not be like that. As I worked with metro trains, there was no process at all. So you just have to go to the person, take the document with you, mostly in the printed form, and say, okay, this is what I want you to review. And they will do a manual review, like the copy paste, pencil type of review, and then they'll give it to you back. And I had to teach them. I mean, when I'm talking about not one person, I'm talking about like 500 odd old engineers who are like 65 plus, and I'm telling them, okay, this is the benefit of based integrated reviews, online reviews in Acrobat. So then, I mean, they liked it. So when it comes to planning, it starts with the sprint planning. It is planned in the very first 3 or 4 days, and then it is delivered and executed as the development tasks are executed.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have a question from Abhilash. How can the technical writers handle ad hoc requests or late requests for documentation effectively? So this is open to all of you. If anyone would like to answer this.
Okay. So I would take that. As few of the other panel members actually mentioned the code freeze date. So in a sprint, definitely we have a sprint planning where we plan like how many items would be actually taken care of in that particular sprint. And based on that, we do effort estimation. We know like my team has like 320 hours in this sprint, and all I can do is 320 hours worth of work. So I have say 17 tasks which will take like 320 hours of work. So now, if there is a showstopper which is stopping the product to function, it comes from the customer. Obviously, that takes priority, and then we have a buffer for that. Mostly, the technical documentation tasks will not be a showstopper unless you're releasing something and that guide is telling you altogether something different, and the customer is not able to install the product, which is not realistic these days because most of the applications are cloud based and customers are not installing them. But in case some really big showstopper comes down, then I would, as a Scrum Master, mark it as a high priority item and try to see what other feature I can delay, and I can ship the documentation for that particular item. But again, saying the same, it will not be like 99% of the cases. In most of the sprints, we will not entertain technical writing based tasks as high P items. I rarely see that.
Yeah,
I would like to add, sorry.
sorry, please go ahead.
So I just wanted to add one thing is that in our case, what happens is that we follow a class of service, a concept of class of service. So this is basically, in order to understand it very simply, is like anybody comes to you for any work, we generally ask the question, when do you want me to deliver that work to you? Based on that, we have categorized a couple of class of service. One is the fixed delivery date. For example, any release-related documentation that has a particular release by which the product is getting released, and the documentation has to go along with that. So it's a kind of a simultaneous release of documentation. So that's a fixed delivery date, and you really can't kind of do anything about it. There are certain things which are like emergent, like very urgent work. We need to understand that in order to take that urgent work, what I need to take a risk. Risk analysis is very important. Other than these two categories, all other are standard work, and in that case, we generally put it on a backlog. Whenever we have a capacity, then we take it. So this is something that we always kind of follow it very diligently, so that we don't claim anything or commit anything which we will not be able to do it later on, and we kind of inform the stakeholders about it. That's the point.
I would say it is based on the kind of request that it is. If it is a doc bug, it takes the highest priority. I would negotiate with the sprint I'm working in with to deprioritize something else, and I'll take this up first. If it is a software bug that has been fixed and the document has to be released, it is again a high priority item and other things have to go down in the sprint. But if it is something that is coming from the same product, same sprint, it can be negotiated. If that is higher priority, why was it not communicated in the planning meeting, sprint planning that we had? So based on how it goes, the call is taken. If it is from some other Scrum team to me, I would push it back that I'm booked for this Scrum, this is the planning, and we shall be taking up in the next sprint. Depends on what is it.
I have here one question on the chat, so I'm interrupting. Sorry, Pallavi. So there is a question from Christine. Is your doc request or review process automated? Somebody would like to give the short and sweet answer.
I would take that, Puneet.
Yeah.
Yes, our doc request process is also automated to some extent, and we also get ad hoc requests, but most of the requests come via Zendesk tickets.
Great. Yeah, I think through Zendesk, then everything is tracked also properly.
Yes, that's right.
Any other thought on this?
I can provide a couple of more thoughts. So the other approaches would be like I have designed Confluence-based knowledge management platforms where the readers can directly put comments on a certain page, and when they put the comment on that particular page, the comment goes to the writer itself directly. And the same is true for any help page where you provide like or dislike, or do you have any questions link. So when that particular person or the reader puts a question over there, then automatically the email gets generated and tickets get generated and goes to the corresponding writer who has been assigned for that particular page. So that way you
Right.
can automate that. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, that actually starting with Confluence and now many other technologies, I think that's very helpful these days. That's why people have started, if they don't use the comment box directly, people have started using the feedback icon also. Direct feedback, people can provide feedback that directly goes to the DL or the writer. Okay, so yeah, Pallavi, you can continue. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Puneet, and thank you, Christine, for your questions. My next question again is to Niharika. Apart from guides, how do you define the importance of videos in tech talks? So, with the technical documentation, of course, videos are there. How do you define it? Why is it so important? And how do you go about it?
Okay, why is it so important? Lies in the customer behavior. Whenever we are stuck with anything, say for example, a functionality in our mobile, the first thing we do is we Google, and the video that comes, that is the one that we click, not the dense text, whatever that text may be. So that itself defines that videos are important, very short, crisp videos. And I would generally reject those videos that are dwelling too much on the problem area. We need to jump to the solution because the user has come there with a problem as such. Describing the problem is not what is needed. So that is the approach that we follow when we are creating videos as well. It is absolutely customer centric. How the customer wants, we have to do it that way. What was your second question?
Yeah, how do you go about it? So
How
rather
do
than putting this, Niharika, I'll put it across like this. There was one question which I was going through in one of the chat group,
Mhm.
and that person had asked like, what would be your preference as if there's a like small procedure and a big procedure, okay, procedural steps. Now, if what would you prefer, going for a video for a smaller one or for a bigger one? Because writing all the steps, it's a big procedure. People may get bored looking at the whole writing thing, and would better go for a video for that. So, I mean, what would be your choice?
Your voice is actually breaking. I Let me repeat your question. You want to know which would I prefer, a small video or a dense text resolution of my issue? Is that the question?
No, am I clear now? Maybe
Yeah,
a better.
better.
So, no, Niharika, the question is there are two procedures. One is a small procedure, the other one is a big procedure to carry out something, right? So, what would you prefer? A video for a smaller procedure or video for a bigger procedure?
Okay, video for a smaller procedure or video for a bigger procedure? See, it actually depends on the bigger procedure, maybe integration of 3 or 4 tasks. So it is always better to break it into chunks that makes a resolution of one complete problem, one complete resolution of a problem. So it would depend on that. Maybe the smaller one is a fragment, or maybe the smaller one is complete in itself. So what I would prefer for a video is a complete answer to whatever the customer is coming there for. Maybe there is a
Okay.
new feature in the application, so I would like that video to have a complete end-to-end picture, unless it can be broken down into 3 videos that I can connect, saying this covers this complete aspect, the next video will be covering the other aspect. So it has to be complete in itself. I cannot shorten it just because it has to be shortened. Completeness also needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, yeah, got it, got it. Cool, that's cool. Um, so my next question to Subhajit is, you've been into chatbots and basically you're known for that, right? So how do you plan and execute it?
Okay, there lies my interest. Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. What happened is that I just give you a background is that how I landed up in chatbot. So what happened is that we have our help pages, knowledge based sites for different products, and we have the proper, every page is having kind of a feedback and commenting feature where you can actually give a feedback, give a thumbs up and thumbs down. And we have been there for a couple of years. But
Right.
what we realize is that no, this is something where user is coming to your knowledge base and user is searching the information. User is going through your all topics and TOCs and everything. He's searching, he or she is searching, and he's getting the information. So he's coming to us, rather we are going to them. So
Right.
then we try to find out a connector, which would be kind of a which which would allow people to kind of find information in a conversational manner. The way he talks to others, the way he kind of chats with his colleagues and others, the same way can he gather the informations what he's looking for the product. Now, as you have seen, is that no, we have done some pages of help pages, but many a cases it has been proven that whenever a developer or somebody using a product, he's getting stuck. Generally, he kind of most of the cases he asks his peers who has already used the product, or he's going to an open forum where people of same kind of same-minded people who have been using this product, they're using it. So they're not necessarily they're coming to the knowledge base site and they're asking or searching the information. So the chatbot or the conversational user interface allows people to kind of find the information using the language that they use it on a daily basis, right? And they don't have to worry about the search syntax. So it says that the success of your search result depends on the way you search it, the how effectively you are searching. That
Right.
conversation that would actually frees you from that syntax or following the syntax. And then when we kind of deployed, when we actually built up and the chatbot and we deployed it for one of our product as a pilot project, we could see the significant amount of increase in the traction of our help bot. Because what we are doing it, we started with a help chatbot where people can ask questions about any feature. We are just giving a couple of lines and then we are giving a link to our help text, help pages. So what is happening is that people are reading through it and they are going to our help page to go through the whole, to understand it better and in a more deeper manner. And that is actually increasing a lot of tractions in our help pages. And people are getting engaged to it. People are talking about it. People are telling good things, bad things, something that we haven't kind of done it properly or something we have done it nice. And they're giving us a compliment. They are throwing kind of tantrums through the chat, but everything is happening in the chat box. And now people have started realizing it that in many cases they have actually understood that this is something a person who is kind of sitting at the behind and then talking to them. So there lies the success of a chatbot when it starts behaving like a human. And then the question that started coming more philosophical, more deeper, and there we are handling these things. So that actually kind of helped us to kind of reaching to the customer, reaching to the user. We have been using it passively. Now they are using our help page because of the chatbot very actively. And then what happened is that we gradually moved from health chatbot to the action chatbot. So now the one of the chatbot for one of our product is not only the health chatbot, but it is also the action chatbot. So basically, if you're going to the applications, you are asking him, can you show me my inbox item? So it will automatically show you the inbox item. Can you show me the high priority work item? The chatbot will show you the high priority work items. Now, if you now you ask that like how do I know about burn down analytics? The same chatbot now will give you information about the burn down kind of analysis and how it works in our system. So it is working as a multimodal. So it is basically helping you to achieve something which you had to do it by clicking and then going there, and it is also giving you information about that. So I believe that health chatbot has the chatbot in general has given us a lot of edge in terms of reaching to the customers and kind of understanding their perspective.
Wow, I could go on listening to this and asking you questions on chatbot actually. But looking at the constraint of time, I'll have to go to Shrutika to ask uh, how is it like you've been working in multiple domains. So importance of domain knowledge. Shrutika.
Mhm. Okay, so Pallavi, in my opinion, being an expert in the domain is not necessary, but the
Mhm.
more you know about your domain, the better it is. It helps you in multiple ways, but the two most important ways it helps you is to write better, of course, to write better. And
Right.
then I think Hemant mentioned about it in one of
Yes.
his answers, that it helps get recognized in your peer group. When I say peer group, it is SMEs, developers, product managers. They take notice that you are making an effort to learn about your domain, which is not actually necessary for you to do, but you are making that effort, and that makes them open up to you. And the next time when you have when there is a need for documenting something, or there is some new little button added to a feature, they think about you and they come back to you and they talk to you. So that has been my experience when I started learning about my domains. And I started asking questions to these SMEs.
Okay. Okay, that's the same thing Hemant had also mentioned, right? And even I have experienced that learning domain helps you a lot, and you just need to do something and usually ask some dumb questions. So my first interaction with any SME would be, today I would be asking you some dumb questions. Bear with me. Next time, I'm sure you wouldn't
Yes,
you
and
wouldn't
it
do
helps.
that.
Yes, Pallavi, you're right. So it helps you ask the right questions. That is
Right.
one of the very important things, especially when all these SMEs are, pressed for time. They have their own
Yeah.
deliverables, which are very time sensitive. So it
Right.
definitely helps when you have a good set of questions which are valid, which make sense.
Yes. Absolutely.
One sec, I'm putting everybody on mute. Pallavi, you unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Looks like Hemant has some connection issue. Okay, you go ahead, Pallavi.
Um, okay. One last try
Can
for.
you hear me, guys?
Yes. Yes. So, Hemant, how easy is it for Indian tech writers to get an overseas opportunity, if it is easy? And in most of the companies, on-site positions are only to developers or testers. So, I would like to work. If I would like to work in a different country, what are some of the the key points or something which I should have? Hello, Hemant, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So the honest answer to this question would be a bit bitter. I
Okay.
don't want to give you a house of cards here. See, most of the developed countries, except US, where most of the startups and other companies are hiring people, technical writers is something which is not hired from outside companies because uh, plenty of reasons for that, because they are the countries where English is their first language. They have people who have good understanding of software applications, and they can easily gel well with the local development team to produce the technical content. Number
Right.
two, it is very difficult because of the laws in the underlying countries. They have to justify to the government that this particular position is not available here. That's why they are hiring this skill set from the other country. When it
Okay.
comes to technical writers, it becomes very hard for the companies to actually justify that I want to hire a technical writer who can use MS Word, who can use any online help authoring software to generate the help documentation for my software company. They basically will not do that. That is number one. Number two is the cost of hiring a person from overseas for this much work, which is for which I get a very easily I get a local resource, and local resource would be more productive because that resource understands the language, and that resource deals very well with the local development team. Now, how you get to the other country? The best way would be to file a skilled professional visa for any of the countries, maybe Canada, maybe Australia, maybe US. I've worked in UK, I've worked in US, I've worked in Australia now. So, but the very first question which any employer will ask you is, do you have permanent residency or do you have full work rights in the country where you're applying? If you say no, then very light chances are there that they will hire you unless you are very expert in certain product, which company has acquired a product and there are no expert writers on that particular product. For example, I worked for Oracle Nimbula. It was completely Linux based. CUI driven platform, Elastic Cloud platform, which is used by all Oracle Cloud offerings. So not all people will be, skilled enough to do documentation for that, because for everything you need to actually run the set of commands to see what it is doing. Then only you can write. So the short answer would be to develop your skill set, add something else like automation tester, add something else like business analyst, add something else like software analyst. So these categories are in the list of wanted people which companies get from the overseas. So that would be, generating a ticket for you guys to go to the other countries, because they only hire people for which have that skill which is not locally available. So it's like, understanding Hindi and trying to find a job in India where everybody else knows Hindi. But so when you know English and you're saying that you're good at writing and speaking English, and you're coming to Australia, they say here everybody knows English here. Everybody likes, good content is easily available. So why should I hire you? So that very basic question comes in picture.
Wow. Okay. So we are ready to take up some questions. Puneet, you go ahead and take up.
Pallavi. So Anju has a question. What are some of the best practices you follow for document review?
This is open to all. Any of you can.
Yeah, anybody can. These questions are from audience, so anybody can take this. What are some of the best practices you follow for document review?
The one best practice that I would say is there is no document that should be published without SME review. That we ensure. Other than that, there is no best practice as such that I would say is a mandate. It is very difficult to follow that, considering the time constraints we always dabble with. So that is what I would say.
A couple of points which I would mention here is switch away from email-based attachment reviews, where you document something and you attach it to Word and you send it to 8 SMEs. So what happens? You get 8 copies of reviewed text, and then you have to merge all the comments. Instead of that, use Office 365 or use Acrobat shared review, where 8 or 10 or 20 different people can review the same copy of the document at the same time, and all others see each other's comments. This way, the time of the SMEs is saved, number one. Time of the writer to merge the comments and to see different documents and then copy the original is saved. Number 3, there will not be duplicate comments, because if 8 people are reviewing the same document at 8 different places and 8 different copies, more likely they'll come up with the same set of comments. Now, that is, so implement shared reviews. That would be very good if you want to increase the efficiency of a technical writer. That is number 1. Okay. Number 2, don't publish any review without a deadline. So if you publish a document review without a deadline, everybody takes it easy, because for them, it is not important at all. So as a technical writer, it is important for you because you don't want to publish an unreviewed document. You don't want to stall a release just because the document was not reviewed. So
thank you. Thanks, Hemant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful points. Thank you. Shubhajit, Shrutika, do you want to add anything?
There's something that what we do is that, many a times what happens is that in the development team, they do a demo of what they are kind of, they are actually developing it. It's more like showing the prototype. Similarly, in the documentation team, what we have done is that we just started initiating a little bit of peer review. So this is something like, for example, we have to document a feature. So one of the best practices is to have a peer review meeting, and anybody who is responsible for kind of taking care of the documentation for the feature or an enhancement, he or she would actually explain kind of what he or she has understood about the feature, and then what would be the impact of the feature in the existing documentation. He or she would take us through, take others through, and then kind of get a feedback or the suggestions from the other fellow writers. Is that there's something that he or she can do better about that. One of the best practices is to have a peer review. And other than that, we have a checklist. And then checklist is very kind of something like a Bible, and we always go through the checklist to make sure that we have covered everything. Last point that I wanted to wanted to mention is that we always make it reviewed, at least technically, by the product owner or somebody from the other stakeholders. So we get a kind of I would say 180-degree kind of a view from the other people also about we have written, or is there anything that we are missing in the documentation.
Thanks, Shubhajit. Shrutika, you want to add anything?
Yes, just one more thing. Even during peer reviews, it is important for the writers who are reviewing it. It is important for them to verify the technical accuracy at a higher level. As in, for when I review my colleagues' documents, I ensure that perform those steps on the UI. I use the application using the document, and then I also do a language review. So both things have to be done during the peer review. It helps. At times, the SMEs are not available, which happens most of the times. They are not available to do a technical review. So it helps when you do it yourself. The earlier you catch things, the better.
Thanks, Shrutika. Thank you all for answering this question. We have another question from Anushri. This is very, I think, interesting question. What are the three most important qualities which technical writers should possess? So it can go as a quick round. Three most important qualities. Yep. Anybody can answer.
So, Punit, for me, the three most important qualities in a technical writer are the willingness to learn and adapt. Second is the attitude and the approach to your fellow writers, your fellow colleagues, and then third is the proactiveness.
Somebody has a lot of sound. I don't know from where is it coming. Shrutika, give me 1 minute. I will mute all and then you can unmute yourself, please. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, Shrutika, unmute yourself.
Yes, Punit. Should I repeat my answer?
No, I'm good with this. Anybody else has answer for this?
Yeah, would agree.
So I would provide three most important qualities in the order. The first one should be understanding the user needs. So if a technical writer cannot understand the user needs, there's no use of a technical writer. Number
Right.
two, understanding the product. If you don't understand the product, you cannot write about it. Number three is attention to detail. How detailed you are, even if you miss one instruction in an install procedure, the 3-hour effort of a user can be wasted. So three would be the most important: understanding user needs, understanding the product, and attention to detail.
Thanks, Hemant. Yeah, Niharika?
Unless it is for it's echoing. Yeah. Unless it is for a fresher's position.
Hold on, I will mute all again. I don't know how it's. Yes, Niharika, unmute yourself, please.
So yeah, unless it is for a fresher's position, the one skill that I would look in addition to that willingness and right attitude, as has been pointed out, is understanding of data and the concept of single sourcing. That is, I think, a mandate in the kind of scenario we are right into. So that is one additional quality. Of course, I cannot compromise on attitude and willingness to learn. That has to be there. and everything else follows.
Right. Shubhajit?
I think I'm not going to kind of read all three. Maybe I think all of others have kind of pointed out all the right kind of qualities that a technical writer should have it. The one thing that I would kind of emphasize is to put yourself into the user's shoes and try to understand what actually they are looking for into your documentation. That's very much important. And the other thing is that to work with the different stakeholders. So it's very important when you're growing as a technical writer, you need to kind of understand the priorities. You need to kind of plan it in a proper manner, and also you need to work in collaborations with the other stakeholders rather than going against them. Because many a times what happens is that we are at the receiver's end. Many a times we wait for the reviewers review to do, and then all the technical reviews, and we always complain and complain about it. But I believe that it is important for us as we are growing. It is important to how to know to how to handle them properly, how to talk to the stakeholders, how to get information from them, and how to put them in a proper manner, which is easy for people to understand. That's for my side.
Thanks, Shubhajit. So here we have a very interesting question, guys. So you will have to help if somebody wants to start the job again. So Gayatri asks, what advice do you have for women who would like to enter the workforce after a break? So from your experiences, you guys can share something to guide.
Puneet,
Question, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Shruti.
Repeat the question, Puneet.
I'm repeating the question, Hemant. Shrutika will be just answering it. What advice do you have for women who would like to enter the workforce after a break?
Okay,
Shrutika?
cool.
Yes, Puneet. So for all the women, not just for women, even for men who want to enter the workforce after the break, I would suggest that you get in the you get an understanding of what is happening in your field, uh, come up to speed with the latest trends, and learn about them. Uh, try to pick up as much as you can, and then show that all the effort that you have put into learning to get back into shape and get back into into the workforce. So that is one very important thing. So recently, I hired people in my team, and there were a couple of people who had women, especially, who had taken a maternity break and wanted to get back to work. So one thing that I advise is to it is understandable to lose touch at times when you are on a break. You have other priorities, but it is very important to learn new things, utilize at least some time of yours to get up to speed.
Thanks, Shrutika. Anyone wants to add something to it? Otherwise, we'll take up the question.
One thing I would say that if you're passionate about anything, you never took a break. It was always there in you. It was always inherent in you, right? So there was no break. So you're always welcome, and you come back and you work with more vigor, more energy. And I think somebody who is passionate, somebody wants to come back, and it is there in her, then she would find it easy. She would find it very welcoming, and it would be a great experience to work with her.
Great. Anyone else wants to share some?
I would agree. Just be honest about the reason of break, and many organizations are very, very willing to give them another chance without any questions, without any judgment on that. So
Yeah.
nothing additional needed.
Okay.
Willingness to pick it up again. Nothing else.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, we have another question. This is from Sushmita. What kind of approach can be taken towards learning the product, especially when you join a company with a domain that is completely new to you? Hemant, will you like to start on this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so different strategies. If it is an existing product, thoroughly read the existing document. go end to end the all the possible use cases what you have. That'll give you an idea. See, nothing beats the practical experience on an application. So in my experience, I've joined probably 12 different companies where I've worked on different products. So my approach is go hands-on on the product, refer the existing documents, see what it is. If you're not able to understand it, ask the SMEs, or if there is a possibility of existing training materials, videos, watch them, or ask somebody to give you a walkthrough. That's the way how you can rapidly learn a product without basically understanding the core concept of the product. If you try, just clicking through the screens, it will not help. So what will help is to develop the core understanding of why this product was needed, what it is actually providing to the users, and how it is providing. So if you answer these three, you know the product.
Thanks, Hemant. I think that gives a pretty clear idea. Anybody else wants to add to it?
Puneet, Shrutika here again. I wanted to
Yeah.
add one more point. As an extension to Hemant's answer, most companies have free webinars for their customers uh, to explain their products, their features. So I started off with attending those webinars as well to get a business perspective also. So that gives you, an opportunity to learn about the domain as well as the product.
Great. Thanks, Ritika.
It is a new product, then participate in the discussions because the product is not there. So you just joined, you're a new member of the team. Participate in the business analysis or the feature discussions, what they're trying to bring into the product and why. What are the different strategies they're considering, and what are the strategies they're opting, and what they are actually ditching, and what is the reason? Because maybe 6 months down the line, the strategy that will come up again, and they'll take that for the next feature approach. Next.
Great. Okay, so in the interest of time, we will just rush into a few questions now. We just have 8 minutes left. So Jyoti has a question, Shubhajit, Niharika, and others. How to adopt content strategy into writing?
Sorry, what
Yes.
was the question, Puneet?
How to adopt content strategy into writing?
Okay, so just add few points. The strategy, I believe, the strategy I think we need to understand is that do you want to present, how do you want to reach to your users or the people who are actually consuming your product and your organization? So your strategy has to be aligned with that periphery, like to kind of enable them to become a kind of an ambassador, a brand ambassador of your product or feature. So in order to do that, you have to win their heart over them, and you have to impress them. You have to kind of drive them that would actually help business or the functional growth they have come to
Right.
your product.
Yep.
The thing is that user centricity is very important, and it has to be inherent in your strategy. That's my point.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to add something?
Yeah, with content strategy, what I understand is if it is a completely new document or document set, you have the freedom to organize the content based on um, maybe the user roles it is going to be used by, maybe as per the process flow. But if it is something that shares content with the existing sources, then the strategy becomes different. Which are the files that are to be shared? If two more outputs are to be generated from them, how are the data vals to be arranged? So these become the part of content strategy. If it is a video, you have to analyze what is the problem you are going to solve with that video. This entire scripting and everything would be around that. So it depends on case to case. It will vary from case to case, content strategy.
Right. And overall, whatever be the content strategy, I guess if there is a content strategy for the company or for the doc team, so probably following the points that Niharika Shubhajit mentioned, we, as a writer, we will have to see how do we fit into it, and of course users perspective have to be at the core. Okay, so one question I see very interesting from the writing perspective, because we often have this struggle that writers from technical documentation teams, they have their own writing style and standards. Now Ravi asks this interesting question: what's new feature? Some companies ask to write what's new feature from marketing perspective. Is it correct? So I'm not sure about the correct part, but I think many companies pose this challenge to us. You follow the marketing perspective or you follow the technical documentation perspective? Yeah.
I would say, what's new is part of release notes. And as I understand, or I have understood it, release notes is the only part of documentation that is a marketing piece, even by technical writers. So that certainly is a marketing piece. You are grabbing users' attention with the features that you are showcasing. So yeah, I agree with that. I would say it has to be a marketing piece, crisp, to the point, attractive, everything incorporating, without compromising any of your tech writing principles. It has to be a marketing piece.
Yep. Anyone else?
One of the survey points in 2019 STC kind of trend, it has been seen that the technical writing would be also kind of a consumed as a marketing writing, okay, marketing and communications writing. But I really don't see any kind of a problem in writing for a marketing purpose. I believe the what's new is only for the people to understand the business use case of the business advantages of that feature. So even if you're writing something which is purely technical, in our case, we try to kind of write in a manner so that people understand the kind of business kind of point of view of the technical aspect. Also, for example, you're writing about an enhancement in the REST API or in the SOAP web services and others, which is purely technical. But we try to kind of give a kind of a touch, a marketing touch, or I would say that more business explanations to it, so that wider kind of an audience have a understanding, have a clear understanding about what we have actually given in that particular what we have provided in it.
Thank you, Shubhajit. So I think we are running short of also the time also now. We just have 2 minutes and there are more questions. But guys, now we have one channel, Slack. So I would suggest we recommend post meeting discussions there also. Everybody can join Slack, and so you can post your questions there and we will try to get that answered as a group, and probably our panelists can also join that Slack group and they can also contribute. So from my end, thank you very much to everyone, and Pallavi, thanks for hosting also. It was a great session with all of you. Thank you, Shubhajit. Thanks, Niharika. Thanks, Shrutika. And thanks, Hemant, all for your time. Pallavi, you have any words? And yes, all the panelists, you want to say some parting words, all of you?
Thank you so much. It was nice gathering, nice meeting. Absolutely enjoyed. Good effort, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pallavi. It was really lovely experience. I mean, I never thought I would have such a great discussions and knowing others also. Panelists. Really a great experience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Niharika, Shrutika, and Hemant. Hemant, it was very nice of you to join us from Path Samandar Par. So we as tech writers community are blessed to have leaders like you who would guide us at every step. And we look forward for more of your teachings and experience sharing so that we all learn and grow together in this industry.
It's pleasure. It was very nice interacting with the other guys. Thank you so much, and best of luck for all the joinees. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And we conclude.
Yeah, Shrutika, you are saying something?
Yeah, I was just saying that I hope that this discussion encourages everyone to ask more questions, and this opens up a whole new uh, forum altogether. And it
Exactly.
was just
Yeah.
right time.
Okay, there is some sound.